Wait, did Bambi just get caught red-handed faking a pregnancy on camera just to save face on a reality show? And did Tasha K really walk into that courtroom with receipts so spicy, even the judge had to clutch his pearls? Because baby, this ain't just your average love and hip-hop drama. This is a televised takedown courtroom edition, and it's messier than a reunion brawl with no security on set. We're talking fake DNA files, imaginary baby bumps, and a man nearly cancelled by the internet till he walked out of court like the season finale hero. Scrappy didn't just dodge a bullet, he moonwalked out of this circus with legal immunity, while Bambi sat there blinking like she just realized the cameras were still rolling. And don't even get us started on the hidden flash drives, staged confessionals, and that documentary Hulu greenlit in real time. Yes, real time. So the question is, who's really the villain when the script gets flipped? Is Tasha K the chaos queen, or the only truth teller in a world full of frauds? Buckle up, because what went down in that courtroom is wilder than anything the producers could have faked. Allegedly, the courtroom was tense like a boiling pot, ready to explode. And every single eye was on Bambi, who looked like she'd walked straight out of a deleted scene and into real-life consequences. The woman who once controlled the narrative, with tears and camera angles, was now seated at the defendant's table in front of a judge who didn't care about VH1 credits or Instagram followers. You could practically hear the gasps across the internet when the bailiff announced her full name, Adizia Bensonaz, if the government had officially stripped her of her love and hip-hop title. And baby, this wasn't just about a slap anymore. No, this was about deception, manipulation, and a fake pregnancy storyline that had the entire industry holding their breath. Tasha K, seated calmly across the room, looked more like a seasoned prosecutor than the alleged victim, with her signature binder this time labeled Treyo Edition resting on her lap and a barely healed wrist wrapped in a soft brace. She radiated the kind of energy that says, "I warned y'all, but y'all ain't listen. Now let's rewind. How did we get here?" According to courtroom leaks and anonymous insiders, it all began during the final reunion taping for season 12, when rumors exploded that Bambi was pregnant with Scrappy's baby. Fans were crying on Twitter, reposting blurry ultrasound memes, and Bambi herself was seen crying in a candlelit confessional about motherhood and betrayal. It was raw, emotional, and, according to prosecutors, completely fake. You heard that right, fake. As in, no pregnancy, no test, no baby. Just a storyline pitched like a promo clip. Allegedly, Bambi worked hand-in-hand with producers to shape the ultimate redemption arc. A vulnerable woman betrayed by her man but rising through it all with the strength of an expecting mother. Sound familiar? That's because it was scripted, tighter than a Netflix drama. And who brought the receipts? None other than Tasha K, who claims she didn't come for drama but got smacked when she refused to play along. In court, the prosecution wasted no time. Their first witness, Tasha herself, she limped up to the stand like a survivor from a reality war zone, gave her oath, and said 8 words that made the judge raise an eyebrow. "She hit me because I exposed the truth." The room went dead silent. Cameras weren't allowed, but someone's cousin was live tweeting every breath and blink. Tasha went on to say she had been backstage reviewing segment notes after her taping, where she discussed alleged shady production tactics and how certain cast members coughed Bambi had been feeding producers half-truths wrapped in fake emotion. According to her, when she turned a corner, Bambi was waiting. No words, just fury, and a slap heard around the blogosphere. Of course, Bambi's team objected, claiming the incident was over-dramatized, but that's when the prosecutor calmly dropped the bomb. "Your Honor, we have the footage." And just like that, the lights dimmed in a grainy, black and white clip played before the jury, showing Bambi lunging at Tasha, slapping a phone out of her hand, grabbing her by the arm, and screaming something that even lip readers on TikTok couldn't fully decode. The courtroom gasped. Twitter exploded. Bambi sat like a statue, unmoved, unbothered, or maybe just cornered. Her legal team tried to spin it, saying she'd been pushed to the edge, that the footage didn't show the full picture, that Tasha had allegedly leaked private medical files and doctored the narrative to provoke her. But then came the twist that knocked the wind out of every lie. Tasha K, voice calm as ever, looked the judge straight in the eye and said, "That file she's mad about. It wasn't real." A hush fell so deep, it might as well have been scripted. "Excuse me?" the prosecutor asked. "The file," Tasha nodded. "The DNA document, the pregnancy confirmation, it was fabricated by production, with Bambi's full knowledge. I just exposed it." The courtroom melted into chaos. The judge had to slam his gavel 3 times to restore order. Scrappy, seated quietly behind his legal team, stared at the floor like he'd just watched his life get edited in real time. Turns out, he had, because shortly after that reveal, the court was handed a motion from Scrappy's lawyer to fully remove him from any legal responsibility tied to the pregnancy narrative. The motion argued he had been manipulated into believing the pregnancy was real and was told by producers that Bambi had supplied actual medical documentation, and with Tasha's bombshell under oath, the judge had no choice but to consider it. By the afternoon, Scrappy was called to the stand not as a defendant, but as a witness. He kept his head down, his voice low, but what he said flipped the courtroom on its head. "She told me she was pregnant. I believed her. I found out with the rest of y'all that it was fake." The prosecutor pressed further. "And how did you feel?" Scrappy paused, exhaled, and said, "Like I was used, like my pain was a storyline, like I walked into fire for someone who already knew she'd made it up. That right there." That line became a meme before the court recessed. Within hours, "used for the storyline" was trending, and fan edits of Scrappy's court face flooded Instagram. Bambi sat tight-lipped as her own legal defense began to crumble in real time. The prosecution followed up with a printed transcript words Bambi allegedly said in a production meeting caught on hot mic. "They'll eat this up. Just let me cry and mention the baby." You could practically feel the jury shifting. The judge allowed the transcript into evidence, noting that the court must evaluate not just the assault itself but the motive behind it. And suddenly, this wasn't just about a slap or a storyline. It was about deception, image control, and public manipulation on a level reality TV had never quite seen before. Then came Tamika, a junior producer no one expected to testify, who nervously admitted that yes, she had heard calls between Bambi and the producers where they discussed shaping public opinion with a fake pregnancy arc. According to her, Bambi approved staged confessional scenes, rehearsed emotional moments, and even requested low lighting and soft piano music to really sell it. The jury's pens were moving non-stop, and Bambi. She finally blinked. Shoulders tight, hands twitching, like the truth was finally catching up to the performance. And just when you thought the courtroom couldn't possibly handle more heat, the door opened and in walked the surprise witness that made the blogs crash from traffic. Oh, but you thought it couldn't get worse. Just when the courtroom tension was thick enough to slice with a dull knife, Bambi's legal team tried to pivot the narrative, accusing Tasha K of defamation, fabrication, and get this emotional manipulation. Yes, emotional manipulation. As if Bambi's own fake baby saga wasn't the most manipulative storyline reality TV ever witnessed, Tasha K, sipping metaphorical tea, didn't even blink. In fact, her team pulled out what they claimed was Exhibit C, a deep archive of digital messages allegedly pulled from a burner phone used by Bambi under the alias Mrs. Real Queen ATL, and guess what was inside? Chat logs that showed conversations with not one, not two, but 3 different men all discussing baby plans, timelines, and media strategy. Sis was out here treating pregnancy like a brand campaign. One of the supposed messages even had Bambi texting, "If Scrappy believe it, the rest of the world gone fall in line. I just need a few ultrasound pics and a supportive timeline. I'll handle the tears." Hold up, what? You planning a fake pregnancy and calling in your own tear ducts like you're about to shoot a bet movie? The courtroom was stunned, jaws dropping left and right, and the judge. The judge literally had to call a 5-minute recess to process what he just heard. People were whispering in disbelief. You had jurors side-eyeing each other like, did this chick really plan out a baby scam with a Google Doc and emojis? But oh, the drama didn't stop there, because right as things were cooling down, the courtroom doors swung open and in walked a woman no one expected, Moniz Slaughter. Yes, that Moniz, the queen of clapbacks and chaos herself. And she was holding what she claimed to be real evidence, video evidence. She didn't say a word, just strutted up to Tasha K's team like she was delivering a holy grail. Once plugged in, the courtroom was shown grainy but unmistakable footage of Bambi in a spa with another man, taken just weeks before the supposed conception of the now disputed baby. The timestamps didn't lie, and neither did the champagne, bottles, foot massages, or suggestive whispers caught on audio. The man, not Scrappy, not even close. It was some low-key music producer known for ghostwriting thirsty tracks for desperate influencers. You could hear the gallery gasp as the spa video played on loop. And suddenly the entire foundation of Bambi's motherhood miracle began to collapse. The video even caught Bambi saying, "This gonna shake the blogs for real, watch what I do next," followed by a wink. Girl, did you really just plot a fake pregnancy while getting your feet rubbed by someone else's man? At this point, even Scrappy, who had been sitting in dazed silence, started shaking his head in disbelief, his face set at betrayal, humiliation, and pure rage simmering under those designer shades. And then came the moment no one could have predicted. A surprise witness was called to the stand. Someone the court had allegedly been trying to subpoena, 4 weeks with no success. None other than Erica Dixon. Yes, because what's a scandal without pulling in every love and hip-hop connection possible? Erica walked in with a calm confidence that screamed, "I've been waiting for this." She testified that Bambi had confided in her months ago, asking for advice on how to make a man stay down, even if the baby situation ain't real yet. That phrase, "ain't real yet," became the buzzword of the day. Twitter went wild. Instagram went insane. Memes were born in real. Erica's testimony painted Bambi as someone not only desperate for clout, but also methodical in manipulating the narrative to make herself the victim. The courtroom was silent as Erica continued detailing texts, voice notes, and even a shared notes app plan between her and Bambi where Bambi outlined how she could get public sympathy, secure a storyline, and take control of Scrappy's assets through emotional pressure. She called it the Forever Wife Blueprint. Who makes a blueprint for emotional fraud? This wasn't Love and Hip Hop, this was Ocean's 11 with lashes and prenups. But just when you thought that was the peak, the prosecution pulled out the trump card: bank records. Yes, bank records showing suspicious transfers from Scrappy's account to an unregistered LLC with ties to Bambi's cousin. And the LLC name? Truth Baby Media. Let that sink in. Truth Baby Media. You can't make this up. This shell company, allegedly created to fund a YouTube docuseries on the struggle of Black women being disbelieved, had already received over $75,000 in wire transfers, supposedly from Scrappy's future investment account. And Scrappy had no idea. The entire courtroom turned toward Bambi like, "Ma'am, what exactly were you trying to monetize here?" Tasha K's face lit up like it was Christmas morning. She leaned over and whispered to her lawyer audibly enough for cameras to catch, "That's the smoking gun, baby." Even the judge had to pause, tilt his glasses, and confirm that the LLC registration matched a known alias used by Bambi in earlier email leaks. But this thing wasn't over yet, because, as those documents were being reviewed, in walked a digital forensic expert. That's right, an expert in metadata. The guy broke it all down: timestamps of fake ultrasound photos, GPS tags from photo locations that placed Bambi in LA and not Atlanta during her claimed first trimester, and even proof that the supposed OBGY she cited was on a year-long sabbatical during the alleged checkup dates. The OBGYN. She was in Spain on a meditation retreat, not delivering imaginary babies in Buckhead. At this point, even Bambi's own team started sweating bullets. The judge kept asking, "Is there any medical proof of a pregnancy?" And the answer, again and again, was a deafening silence. No records, no lab results, nothing. Just strategically posted Instagram captions and a few carefully angled pics that now appeared to be doctored. And while all this was happening, Scrappy's mother Mama Diwa spotted outside the courthouse giving interviews to every blog, podcast, and passing squirrel with a mic. "I knew something was off," she said. "That belly was moving like she had a throw pillow stuffed in there." People were laughing, crying, and reposting. It was reality TV, in real time, and the streets were eating it up. But in the courtroom, it was no longer funny. This was spiraling into perjury, wire fraud, identity theft, and emotional abuse. The DA was reportedly considering opening a full-scale investigation, and Bambi's name was now being mentioned in conversations with criminal intent. And just as the judge was about to adjourn the day's hearing, Bambi stood up. Everyone froze. You could hear a pin drop. She took a deep breath, looked at Scrappy, then at the jury, and finally whispered, "I just wanted to be loved. That's it." That was her closing statement. Not an apology, not a denial. Just one final plea for sympathy. But this time, nobody clapped. Nobody hugged her. The silence was cold, and the betrayal was loud. The judge simply nodded and said, "Court resumes tomorrow," but everyone in that room knew it was already over, and just when the courtroom thought they had heard it all, A voice recording was played that made even the stenographer stop typing for a second. Allegedly, it was Bambi's own voice, laughing with a so-called doctor about how easy it was to manipulate a prenatal test using a donor sample. The audio was grainy, but the words were crystal clear, and you could hear the smugness dripping off every syllable as she bragged about choosing the right day to get Scrappy to unknowingly provide a sample that matched her made-up timeline, and the reactions. Pure chaos. Scrappy slumped back in his seat, hands over his face, while Mama D started fanning herself dramatically like she was about to faint from all the ghetto scandal being aired out like a Sunday church confession gone wrong. And let's talk about the judge. This man looked like he'd rather be catching a flight to anywhere but that courtroom. The gavel slammed so hard after the tape finished playing, it echoed like a warning bell across the entire room. Bambi's legal team tried to object, claimed the recording was inadmissible, but it was too late, the damage had been done. The whispers in the gallery turned into a collective roar online within minutes, with Twitter absolutely imploding. Hashtags like FraudBabyGate and Bambi Exposed started trending within the hour. And fans were combing through old Love and Hip Hop episodes like FBI interns trying to piece together every lie and every manipulated moment that led to this mess. One user even pointed out how Bambi once refused a sip of wine at a party while supposedly not pregnant, hinting that the fake pregnancy storyline may have started way earlier than anyone expected. And then came the money trail. Allegedly, Bambi had been receiving private prenatal sponsorships from high-profile social media influencers and maternity brands that offered lucrative contracts based on the perceived pregnancy. We're talking VIP packages, photo shoots, luxury baby shower deals worth tens of thousands of dollars, all of which now hang in the balance of being fraudulently obtained. Some brands already began deleting their collabs from social media and issued quiet statements about their ongoing investigation into influencer transparency. One anonymous brand rep even stated, "If she scammed a whole network and Scrappy, she could have scammed us too. We're not playing with our money or reputation." Meanwhile, Scrappy's team is reportedly preparing a massive countersuit not just for emotional distress, but for brand damage, image slander, and lost endorsement deals caused by the fake paternity narrative. Sources close to Scrappy claim that he was lined up for a sneaker brand collab and a men's wellness campaign, both of which pulled out when the deadbeat dad rumors caught fire earlier this year. Now, with the narrative flipped and receipts popping like popcorn, those brands are scrambling to distance themselves from the chaos while watching Bambi's team scramble like headless chickens in a courtroom full of smoke and mirrors. And just when you think the mess couldn't get deeper, a surprise witness was called to the stand. A former assistant of Bambi, who went by the pseudonym Miss K, testified that she had been the one purchasing the fake ultrasound images and even helped Photoshop the dates to fit the baby daddy story Bambi had been crafting for months. Miss K claimed she left Bambi's employment when she realized she was being used to facilitate a storyline that had no basis in reality and feared legal repercussions if it ever came out. Her words shook the courtroom like an aftershock, and Scrappy sat there completely frozen, possibly calculating just how far the deception had gone. But wait, there's more. Court documents showed that Bambi had also filed for spousal support and child-related financial assistance under the false claim of pregnancy, raising the stakes from scandalous to downright criminal. The prosecution hinted at potential charges, including fraud, perjury, and financial misconduct. And one lawyer even compared the case to a reality TV version of Catch Me If You Can. And you better believe the networks were watching. Executives from VH1 were reportedly in the back row, avoiding eye contact, while other reality producers were already sketching out docuseries, ideas faster than you can say limited series on Hulu. As for Scrappy, his closing statement was short but packed a punch. He looked directly at Bambi and said, "You didn't just play me, you played our kids, our family, and the whole world." But it ends here. The silence that followed was louder than anything that had come before. Bambi, who had kept up her poker face until that moment, finally cracked, visibly swallowing her pride as the gravity of the fallout settled around her like fog on a battlefield. As the judge adjourned court, reporters swarmed outside like sharks, sensing blood in the water. Mic flags from every gossip blog and morning show were held high, and everyone wanted the same thing: a reaction, an apology, or another bombshell. But Bambi, flanked by her legal team, said nothing, just slipped into a black SUV with tinted windows like the villain in a soap opera finale. And Scrappy. He walked out with his head a little higher, still shaken but undeniably freer. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was the final scene of a reality TV saga so twisted it made fiction look tame. The baby was fake, the DNA test was a lie, the court case was real, and the consequences are just beginning. So now that the whole messy truth is out, what do y'all really think is going to happen next? Are we just gonna sit back and pretend? This isn't the wildest love and hip-hop courtroom scandal we've ever seen. Because let's be real, when fake babies, fake DNA, and a freedom-hungry Scrappy are all playing leading roles, you already know we're past the point of return. You can't script this level of chaos, and yet here we are, watching it unfold in real time. From secret recordings, to courtroom meltdowns, and Tasha K casually torching Bambi's house of lies like it was a bonfire on a Friday night. This whole saga has become a full-blown reality soap with no commercial breaks. But the real question is, do you believe Bambi's story ever had any truth? Or was Scrappy set up from the very start? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this tea is far from cold and the receipts keep boiling over. Don't forget to like this video, hit that subscribe button, and turn on the notifications so you don't miss the next chapter in this explosive circus. Trust me, we're just getting started. Stay tuned, because truth never sleeps and neither do we.